I'm delighted to share my views on the budget 2013-14 with the viewers and customers of Kotak Group. This is a platform which enables me to be pretty frank and realistic about the budget recommendations of the Finance Minister. We have to look at the backdrop in which this budget happened. A growing fiscal deficit, a current account which was looking very weak, inflation, tight monetary policy. And in this environment, the Finance Minister, I think, has come out with a responsible and realistic budget. He has reduced the fiscal deficit for this year to 5.2% against expectations of 5.8 and 5.9%. Further, he is committing into the next year a fiscal deficit down to 4.8%. The reason why this is extremely important is this enables stability in the macro policy of the country. From the point of view of investors, including global investors, they will like this control and management of the fiscal deficit. It will give them confidence that India is a serious, mature and a responsible economic policy maker and will not make the mistakes like many other countries have made, which has got them into economic trouble. So this kind of a responsible behavior is something I think is a very good step, especially 1 year before an election. Combine this with a series of measures which the Finance Minister has taken in this budget. Serious increase in spending for rural India. I think this is very good news for Bharat. And I see a significant stability in demand in rural and semi-urban part of our country. The second important aspect is on mass housing, which again helps mid and rural India. So anybody buying a house up to 25 lakhs will get a tax break out of his income. Again, a significant positive for building the housing and construction sector outside big cities. Third, there is a shortage of new investments happening in the country. So he is recommending a 15% investment allowance, which again is trying to spur the investment cycle in the country. And with reference to the financial sector and financial markets, a series of small steps in the area of reduction of securities transaction tax, benefits for insurance, mutual funds, clarity on securities on the securitization guidelines, as also on SEBI guidelines on alternate assets are all small steps for encouraging financial savers to put money into Indian financial assets and away from gold. So all in all, these are macro positive steps taken by the Finance Minister for building a robust, longer-term budget platform for the Indian economy. What are the areas which are challenging? Immediately, I can think of two areas which put some pressure on the markets. Number one, the Government of India's borrowing program has been higher than what most bond market players expected. It has come out to be around 6,29,000 crores against an earlier expectation of around 6 lakh crores. This puts additional pressure on bond markets, and therefore the government securities market has seen increase in its yields, which is why there is a feeling that this may put some pressure on the treasuries of banks which run very large bond portfolios. So this is one important challenge which I think the markets are dealing with. The second one is with reference to increase in corporate taxation. Roughly tax rates are going up, as I understand, from around 32% to 34%. So roughly about 1.5% increase in corporate taxation, which will put pressure on post-tax earnings of companies to that extent. I do not think the amount is large, and the Finance Minister has promised that he is doing it only for 1 year. I hope he sticks to his promise. And number three, I think the markets tend to expect steroids, quick fix drugs. And this time, the FM has avoided quick fix drugs like steroids. He's saying build the macro more steadily, and in the short run, if micro has to pay some price for getting to a lower fiscal deficit, so be it. Therefore, good for improving our top-down situation. There will be a few companies and sectors where there will be pain out of additional taxation on excise and other things. All in all, my view is this restores some credibility of India's macroeconomic management. And that, I think, is a big plus. We were losing the plot on that, and over time it will increase investor confidence into the Indian markets, particularly the foreigners. Therefore, do not be excessively focused on the short term. That is my advice to every investor. Think about the long term, and from a long term point of view, I am positive because this is truly a reasonable and realistic budget. Thank you very much to all of you.